When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I am so excited for today's show because many of our shows leading up to this, we've been talking a lot about how you have the opportunity to design how you give gifts to your clients and how you choose sustainable gifts, how you choose to run your life, how you choose to treat others. And today we're going to be talking all about being the master of your destiny. That's right. We're just beating this horse until we get it right because these messages are being heard by you. You're the one that needs to hear it today. And Susan Friedmann is with us. You guys are going to be super impressed with this individual. She is a powerhouse. But before we get to our interview today, I would like to thank the sponsor of our show, Phoenix Drone Pros. At Phoenix Drone Pros, we love what we do and are passionate about each and every drone photography and video shoot. We've been in business since 2017, and our talented and skills shows in the video production we deliver. We offer fast service for commercial real estate, movies, events, and construction site monitoring. We also provide drone virtual tours that are all the rage right now. These virtual tours are great for team building and entertainment. Contact us today at phoenixdronepros.com to schedule your shoot online or get more information. We capture everything. Thank you, Phoenix Drone Pros, for sponsoring today's show. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Susan Friedmann is an international best-selling author of 18 books. That's right, you heard me, 18 books, is on a mission to wipe out sameness and add vitality and differentiation to marketing. She's traveled the world training and coaching over 10,000 entrepreneurs on 4 continents to become recognized experts in their niche market. She's appeared as a guest expert on various radio and talk TV shows and hosts the award-winning podcast, Book Marketing Mentors. Susan, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's so good to be here, Colleen. And you were a guest on my show, and it's a privilege to be a guest on yours.
I was, and thank you so much for being here because you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to talking about being the master of our own destiny. So we need to wind this back because they're like, wait, she's written 18 books. How did she become this, master of your destiny? Well, I want to go back to where it started because where it started is really what puts us on the path to not be victims, right, of our circumstances. And when the path shifts and the doors close, that's when our purpose is revealed. That's when our why is revealed. And that's when we just blaze these trails as you have, Susan. So wind us back when your corporate America days and how that all unfolded for you.
Well, interestingly enough, it didn't actually start in the US. It started in England, in London, and I was hired in sales and marketing for a very large company, a Fortune 500 company. And after a couple of years, there were layoffs. Things weren't going so well economically. And it was one of those situations, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the LIFO method, last in, first out. Mm-hmm. So that was me. But that didn't happen once, nor did it happen twice. But it happened 3 times, Colleen. And that's so when crazy. I was like, I think the universe has a message for me.
Yeah.
Now, this was over a period of several years. It didn't sort of happen, just like that. But, and I was pretty shaken up that first time. I was I think for a good month, you couldn't talk to me, or I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was down in the dumps.
Yeah, I would think that you that
yes.
point, Susan, would think, how I'm not the master of my destiny here.
Oh no, I didn't even think that way.
Right. Everybody else is telling me where my path is going to be. They're either going to accept me and I'm going to be part of this company and work at this job, or they're going to fire me and I'm not. Right. So you're not in control of anything is probably what you felt in that moment. I'm sure.
I did.
Or all those moments.
I never thought that would happen to me.
Yeah.
It was like, when you start a job, you're all excited and you get involved with a company and they train you and they do all these wonderful things, to help you be successful. And then they lay you off. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Being laid off and having that feeling like, almost like this less, this worthiness, like worthless. You just feel horrible. Like, why wouldn't they want me? Obviously, they let me go because they don't feel like I'm worth anything to the company. And so how did you work through all of that after it happening 3 times to get to where you are? And I know there was a process in between there, and that's what I want to get to be able to be the international best-selling, author of 18 books. I'm sure you have a story to tell, but my point of that is it's hard. It really takes time and self-reflection to go from feeling like down in the dumps, no one wants me at their company, to designing your own life path and being successful and writing all of these books, and then now mentoring and working with other authors. I mean, there's a process.
Totally. And I didn't lay that process out. It sort of evolved. I'm not great on the planning side of things. So yes, after the 3rd time, I was laughing. And as I said, I know that up in the sky there, the universe wanted me to do something else. And that's when literally the idea of being a master of my destiny rather than a victim of my circumstance, I really did not want that. I'm too independent for that. And I decided to start my own company. And I was like, what am I going to do? Well, I actually love training. And I was involved in the trade show industry at that time. And I was like, there is a need for someone to train exhibitors how to exhibit at trade shows. Yay.
That's right.
And that was me for 25 years.
Oh my God.
That was my destiny. I loved it until I didn't love it anymore. But during that time, Colleen, I looked to some of my colleagues at the National Speakers Association and I said, hey, how can I stand out? How can I be different in my industry? Even though there weren't very many people doing what I was doing, I was, niched in that market. However, I needed to stand out from the people who were in there had been in there for a while. And they said, write a book. I was like, oh, I'd never thought of that. Yay, what an idea. And in fact, they actually said to me, self-publish. And I was like, nah, this was the early 90s. People weren't self-publishing their books in that time. And so I was like, no, I'm going to go after a traditional publisher. So I found a publisher and I said, this is what I want to do. And they said no. And things work in threes. They turned me down 3 times, that same company, because I was convinced this was the right company for me. Yeah. And after 3 times, there's a pattern here. They actually said, we'll take a chance with you. And they're pleased they did, because I sold 500,000 copies of my first book. And, exciting title, exhibiting at trade shows, tips and techniques for success. It's not exactly something that everybody's rushing out for, but the people who needed it, they needed it. That's what helps sell, that quantity. And that's a whole system that I teach in my 6-week book marketing mastery program. But yes, and I started writing. And I decided this is too much hard work to find a publisher each time. I'm going to go back to the idea that I was given, before. I will self-publish. And I created Aviva Publishing, my publishing house. And it was really just to publish works for myself. I never even thought about publishing for others. And then along the way, a book coach came to me and he said, would you publish my book? And I was like, oh my goodness, I never even thought about that. Well, I don't see why not, And it's been now 30 years since I've been running this company. And, he sends me people, and other book coaches send me their authors. And I do specialize in nonfiction. We've published a few fiction books and a few children's books, but our main focus is nonfiction. And along the way, I've written my own books and published my own books. But I've also got 4 traditionally published books as well. Yeah. So, but it takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but you just keep plodding along. That journey of 10,000 miles starts with one step, followed by another step.
It does. And I think a lot of what we see out there today and why so many entrepreneurs get frustrated so early is because there's overnight successes and viral this and viral that. And because you can order something and it'll be on your doorstep in 2 hours, everyone has this feeling that it needs to be now or it's not going to be ever. And so many females, even in my age bracket, 50 and above and 45 and above, they've stalled out in the entrepreneurial game because they spin out like it's not happening overnight. So I don't think it's for me. And that's really not the truth. When I built my company back in 2019 was all when I started coming out of corporate America. And I took every bit of my knowledge that I had. And they too said, everyone I met said, you got to write a book. And I was like, I don't even know how to write a book and then I just happened to land with a speaker that I had invited to one of my luncheons the very first year that I built my company. And she said, I'm going to do a collaboration book and I'm bringing a bunch of women together. And it just so happened I ran a women's organization. So why wouldn't I want to be in a book with a bunch of women and meet them? And many of them became members of my organization. It was a very great first experience for me and being part of this collaboration book that was like my toe in the water,
Yeah, that's a great way to start. I mean, I've actually published 6 of those collaboration anthologies. They've got different names that they go by. But yes, I mean, it's a great way. And like you, some of my authors in those books have gone on to write their own book or just that one chapter in the book. They become a published author and then they get recognized. Now, going back to this idea of being an overnight success, I had a mentor many years ago who said, Colleen, well, he said to Susan, he didn't say Colleen. He said, Susan, it takes 15 years to become an overnight success. Yeah. You look at all the famous people out there. You don't see their struggles. You see them being successful. Yeah. And one minute they're not, and then the next minute they are. Yeah. And it's staying successful. That's the key. These viral things that go viral and, it's a one-horse pony or one way.
Like winning the lottery, right?
Like, it happens, boom, you're here today, gone tomorrow. Yep. It's when you can keep that consistency and that takes perseverance. It takes being like, I call it, those dolls that you push down and then they're weighted bottom and then they bounce back up again. You've got to be like that. Yeah. You've got to be willing to bounce back because things are going to happen. It's not a straight road. It's going to have diversions. It's going to have roadblocks. It's going to have bumps in the road. All sorts of things happen along the way. And there's just this stick-to-itness that if you can do that, yes, things happen. and whether you like it or not, you don't plan for it, but you've got to be flexible with it. It's going to happen. Something's going to happen. It's not all hunky dory.
No, it's not. And there is, that it kind of goes like this, right? This is like the way an entrepreneur grows. And you could have tremendous growth in 1 year and then be stable the next year, or maybe even drop back a little bit. And that could be part of the pause of you pulling back to say what worked, what didn't work, preparing to launch something new. Every client that I work with, and I'm sure that you share a lot of the same philosophy on this, is you have to love what you do. And the reason why for 25 years you were able to teach and train on exhibitors, on how to exhibit very successfully, is because you loved it. You loved to train. And again, I see so many women starting businesses because they get in it just to make money, but they're not in it because they love it. I mean, network marketing is a great example of that. They're promised, oh my gosh, you can get it hit this level and that level and this level, but they don't love it. So when you don't love it, you're fueled only by your willpower. You're only fueled by your perseverance, and that's it. There's no additional fuel that comes from your passion, your love for it, your creativity, how you feel. Like I always tell everyone, like, I don't work as much as people think I work, because what I do, I love. Like these interviews, this isn't working to me. This is what I love to do. And it's part of my work day of when I'm available to be in my office and working, and I'm passionate about what I do. Yeah. And I think that's a big piece, because willpower will only go so far, and then
it's your passion that sells.
Right.
I know when an author comes to me, how they feel about their book. They just have to talk to me over the phone, and I hear straight away whether they're, oh yeah, it's a book, I wrote this book, versus, oh, I am so excited about this information, I want to get it out to the world and it's for everyone. That we have to change that philosophy. It's not quite for everyone, but yes, the passion is contagious.
Yes.
And it's that passion, and just you talking with, the energy that you talk with, and the same, you and I both, we both love our podcast. Yes. We love interviewing people. We just love sharing information that can help other people grow. Mm-hmm. That's the business that we're in.
Yeah.
I believe that we're in that business to help other people be successful. Yeah. And when they are successful, we're successful as well. Yeah. So yes, I mean, I just love that whole philosophy, and I know you've got it.
Yeah. I mean, it's what fuels me every single day. It really is the secret behind why I do what I do, because I absolutely love it, and so as part of the process I even take my clients through is really figuring out if what they're doing is what they love, and that's if they can sustain that, right, by
absolutely
doing what they love.
And that's the same with the books. When authors are marketing their book, they've got to love the book. That's going to help it sell. Now, the speaking, training, coaching, that's all part of, the marketing of a book. It's not just, they're not going to make money selling the book.
Yeah.
Often
they didn't know.
They write the book, and that's going to make them millions, and they're going to be an overnight success. They put it up on Amazon, and all of a sudden people are going to buy the book. Ain't going to happen.
Right. It doesn't. So I'm glad that you said that, because that really rolls into the next piece of the podcast here is the number one thing about you standing out is you, right? It's definitely the individual, that they're the ones that are their secret sauce, I call it, right? Your personality. So when you work with an individual and they want to write a book and they come to you, because I'm sure many people right now are thinking, I've always wanted to write a book or thought about writing a book, but the process must be unbearable. I couldn't imagine what it would be like. I don't even know what to write on paper. What happens kind of in that first, bit of coming together? And then, like you said, it's not a one and done and you get the book out there. There's a whole process of marketing. And that's why the book is important, because when you have a book, then you have like a workbook almost, or, something that is matching to your brand, what you teach, what your philosophies are, what you believe in. Generally, there's a linear connection there. And so it just goes right along with your teachings, your marketing, your
It gives you
speaking.
credibility in the marketplace, Colleen.
Yeah.
You wrote the book on this particular subject. Have other people written books on that subject? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But you put your expertise, your touch to it, and it's going to appeal to certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I mean, it gives you, it's really a big fat business card. That's what it is.
That's
it's
what
like,
we call
hey,
it.
I'm an expert in this subject. I wrote the book on this subject. My book, Riches and Niches, How to Make It Big in a Small Market, is all about niche marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that just because I wanted to take all the information that I had learned, building my business in the trade show industry. And could that be duplicated, that other people could do what I did and didn't have to take 25 years to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I explain it all in that particular book.
Yeah.
I mean, I've written dummies books as well. In fact, interestingly enough, which is a wonderful story, I was asked to write meeting and event planning for dummies, and the book was ready to go to press, and then an incident happened called 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And they got back to me, and they said, the publisher got back to me, Wiley, and they said, we're not publishing this book because there are not going to be any more meetings and events because of this, catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are you crazy? So I spent 6 months proving them wrong. I was like, come on, this is facts and figures. Meetings are alive and well and living all over the world. Mm-hmm. And so they ended up publishing the book. Now, that was 20 years ago. Yeah. They came back to me a few months ago and they said, we'd like you to update this book. But it's still selling. Yeah. About 85% of it is evergreen, which, by the way, is great for people to know, to write evergreen material.
Yeah.
And it's just the 15% of the technology, which was very different 20 years ago than it is today.
Instead of overhead projectors, we have digital whiteboards now.
Yeah, who'd heard of email and who'd heard of Zoom and,
that's right.
Doing what we're doing now.
Virtual.
And so that book is going to be published in January.
Oh, that's
It's going to be a re-release. So, things happen. I didn't plan for that. I didn't plan for it to sell for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, you just do the best that you can with what you've got.
Yeah. And you put out the information that you have. I call that
Absolutely.
Playing big versus playing small. If you want to hide and play small, then expect your results to be what you're putting out, right? Equal of action and equal of what you get back. But if you're out there and you're playing big and you're excited and you want to write this book because you want to get it into the hands of the people that really need it, and you're super passionate about it, you've collected a lot of education about it over the years, then obviously you need to contact Susan so she can walk you through how to publish your book. And the process of that, it can be overwhelming for someone that doesn't know how to do it. So that's why I think having someone by your side that walks you through the whole process. I've been through writing several books, and it was so daunting my first round as you start doing it, you're like, oh, this gets easier and easier and easier as you go along. And now it's like, oh, I could do that with my eyes closed. But again, the reason why there are so many books, and if you're like me, I have at least, 10 behind me here, but I have like 10 books on my end table in my office, and I have books just stacked now because I can't fit them in all of my bookcases. Reading is how you continue to learn. It's how we continue to motivate, to be inspired, to be educated, to, feed knowledge into our brains. And so I always have said, if learning is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. To be
I love
leader,
that.
you
I love
must
that.
learn. And
Yes.
so that is why there are people writing books, hundreds of them every single day being published on Amazon, because someone out there needs a book based on a specific subject, and it's going to be written by a person that's the only person they're going to be able to hear the information from. I've said some of the same things 10,000 times over, and then someone will hear it from another person and they're like, oh, I get that. I'm like, you kidding me? And they're they needed to hear it from another person.
I know. Yeah. It's like your kids.
It's why we can't play small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell your kids something and they don't take any notice. The teacher says exactly the same thing. And all of a sudden.
Yeah, Mom, guess what I learned today? You're like, oh, you learned that today in school? Nice to know that I didn't already teach that to you 15 times.
No, but I think you said something really important, Colleen, which I would love to emphasize, is the fact that being a lifelong learner and just constantly learning and taking that and sharing it with others.
That's right.
That's what I think that both you and I do really well, is that we take information, we don't keep it to ourselves, but we share it with others. And for me, I know that helps my authors become successful. And as I said, their success is my success.
That's right.
So, yes, I can ride on their coattails, but I also help to, guide them, give them encouragement, because there's something out there that we've all faced. It's called the imposter syndrome. And that is something that comes to haunt us when we write a book and we don't think it's good enough and we don't want to put it out there and it's going to be criticized. I mean, I'm talking for myself too.
Yeah.
That's happened to me. Yeah.
J.K. Rowling does that. I bring her up all the time.
And look what's happened to her.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody can be a J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
But within your niche market, you can be a big fish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole idea of niche marketing. That's why I'm a proponent of getting into a niche and penetrating that niche.
Yeah, 1,000%. I agree with that. So, Susan, for those listening, how do they get in contact with you? What is the best way for someone to find information out about you, connect with you, tell them what they need to do?
So, what I'd like to do, Colleen, is to offer your listeners a 20-minute brainstorm with Susan's session. Okay. And that can be with their books. It can be marketing, finding their niche. I'll brainstorm, what will help them, if they're stuck, if they'd like to bounce ideas off of me. I'm really good at that.
That's great. That's really
and finding, areas where they can pinpoint and, help make a difference in the world, and find out really where their passion is, because maybe sometimes they don't even know themselves where their passion is. So we can help them find that. So yes, absolutely. So that's brainstormwithsusan.com.
Okay.
And I think you've got that that link that you'll be able to share with people. And we can talk about Aviva publishing books. We can talk about marketing. I've got a lot of knowledge and expertise that I'm happy to share.
I have a lot of followers on Instagram as well that listen to our podcast, so they can find you at author.marketer. So author.marketer is where you'll find Susan on Instagram, and you can connect with her, Susan Friedmann, on LinkedIn as well, if you wanted to send her a message there. And we have all of that right there, your fingertips.
Social media is I'm not great on social media. LinkedIn is probably the best site for me.
Yeah, I'm really getting into Reels. It's something I've been doing more of to get myself out there. I enjoy doing them. They're fun. I had some trainers in teaching my clients last week. So again, just, reaching where your audience is. That's the most important thing.
Exactly. And that's always what's good.
Yeah. And as we're closing out today, I just want to ask Susan, you said in your notes, from being chased by an elephant to hugging a tiger, you have to just share You were chased by an elephant where? And you hugged a tiger where?
Two different places. I was chased by an elephant by accident. My husband and I were on a safari, and we were driving a little mini car, and we got between a mother and its baby.
Whoop.
Don't do that.
Don't ever do that. Yeah, not even in real life. Not even with humans.
No. So the mother really chased us. We had to put our foot on the accelerator.
Yeah. She's protecting
pedal to
her
the metal. Yes.
Protecting her baby. I get that. And you
Absolutely.
hugged a tiger. Like, I don't know if I would want to hug a tiger. Those are a little scary to me.
Thailand.
Really?
That was, they had a tiger preserve. And you could pick whether you wanted to be, with the babies. Most of the people wanted to be with the babies. But there was a long wait for that. So my girlfriend and I, we went and did the teenage tigers who not so many people paid attention to. And a trainer comes in with you. And so long as you don't stand in front of the tiger, they were trained that you could lie with them, you could sit on them, you could hug them. Everything from behind, but not in front.
Oh, got it.
Wow. It's a phenomenal experience.
My heart, I'm feeling a little tense just right now listening to you being in a cage with a tiger. Makes me really nervous.
It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
I'm sure that was an amazing experience.
And really
again, experiences like that are in books that I just purchased where people, are teaching me about business through stories and experiences of them being in different places and what they've learned through animals or environment or, different people in different countries. So Thanks for sharing that. I just had to bring that up because I was like, that is a very interesting fact about Susan that we need to learn more about. So for all of you that are joining us today, I just want to say thank you so much for being loyal listeners. Please share this with a friend that you think could use these business tips week after week as we launch each of our weekly podcasts. And thank you to you for bringing us into the top 5% of Podcast Global. We value you so much, and we're so glad you're here. And don't forget, ladies, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. So how you decide to be the master of your destiny is up to you. Nobody's coming. Nobody's going to give you permission to do that. You have to give yourself permission today to decide, I want to design the rest of this 2023 year to be the best year for me. Don't compare it to other people, for you. What is it that lights you up that you love to do, and go after that? And while you're at it, write a book about it. All right, Susan, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure to be with you, Colleen.
Absolutely. And to all of you, until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.